Good morning friends, welcome to the pre-market update. Yesterday as we have seen, Nifty has corrected around 0.8%, Sensex was also down around 0.5% on the back of adverse Bihar election results. Overall, if you look at the global markets also were down. First we'll look at the FII numbers. In the FII index futures they have sold around 1485 crores, whereas in the cash market they have sold around 861 crores. DI was a net buy of 621 crores. So overall, a few European markets were also down yesterday evening. If you look at CAC and DAX, both were down around 1.5%, whereas FTSE, the UK market, was around 0.9% down. US markets also were in a weaky mode. If you look at the US markets, were around 1% down, Dow and Nasdaq, both of them. And accordingly, what we are seeing and getting an indication at the SGX Nifty is also equally down around 60 points. So overall, global markets as well as domestic markets both are down and weak. We have our own issues in terms of domestic markets, in terms of reforms going forward because of the adverse Bihar election result, and global markets has its own reasons. So overall, the markets are quite weak. Now we'll look out for derivative experts comment.
Good morning friends, I will give analysis on derivatives. Yesterday, after a disappointing result from the Bihar poll, we have seen Nifty starting off with a gap down of around 140-150 odd points. But thereon we have seen 7,800 acting as a good support, as 7,800 was the 7,800 put option was the highest in terms of open interest, and Nifty did took support around that level, and slowly and steadily we have seen Nifty going on the northward direction. But it was in the last 1 hour of trade where we have seen a smart pullback in Nifty, when Nifty managed to go past 7,900 and has been able to make a new intraday high. However, was not able to go above the positive territory, but eventually settled with a minor loss of around 0.5% at 7936.05. Now, in the open interest terms, we have seen an unwinding of around 2.5%. That is 5.5 odd lakh shares were shaded in open interest. Cost of carry have increased minor from around 5.5% to 5.66%, indicating a majority of the unwinding which we have seen was on the long unwind, which we have seen was on the long unwinding that, done by the market participants. While on the put call ratio, there is an interesting observation in it, where we have seen a significant drop in the put call ratio from 0.83 to 0.77, which indicates the market have been in the oversold territory. So there is not much room for the put call ratio to go down. So 0.7275 is the support for a put call ratio. So anyway, around that level we might see Nifty taking a good amount of bounce from the current level. In the Indian volatility index have decreased significantly. After the event, we have seen a sharp decrease in volatility index, which decreased by around 13 odd percentage from 19.47 to 17.04 odd levels. Now, on the options activity, we have seen 7,900 call option have seen a huge addition in open interest. That is, the open interest have almost got doubled. We have seen an addition of around 101 odd percentage, followed by 8,000 call option and 8,100 call option. 8,100 was also quite active, which has seen an addition of around 27 odd percentage. So, all in all for this series, 8,100, 8,200 levels could act as a stiff resistance, while 7,800 put option, which was the highest in terms of open interest, which is still the highest in terms of open interest, I have started seeing an unwinding, which is a negative sign for our market since in the start of the yesterday's trading session we were seeing some kind of build up in open interest, but at the end we have seen good amount of unwinding of around 11 odd percentage, which is a negative sign. While 7,700 put option have seen an addition of around 11 odd percentage and is now the second highest in terms of open interest. So all in all, seeing the futures data and the options activity, the market have seen a good bounce in yesterday's trading session, but the bounce was not majorly supported by the buying interest. It was majorly by some kind of a short covering. So on the higher levels, we do expect Nifty to take resistance, and we might see as there are a lot of short positions still standing. So Nifty still remains in a negative zone. So on the higher levels, there's a good opportunity to go short. There is one securities in bank period for today's trade, that is CET Limited. On FIS terms also, FIS now have been building some kind of positions in index futures, and the position has been also on the shorter side. In yesterday's trading session, they were net sellers by around 1500 odd crores, which is quite substantial, and the open interest of FIIs went up by around 6 odd percentage. So a good amount of short positions was built up by FIIs in yesterday's trade. In index options, they were net sellers by 2200 odd crores, while in stock futures, they were net sellers by 187 crores, and stock options net sellers by 110 crores only. For our market level, our 5 days VWAP stands at 8010 with a lower range at 7807. 7807 is our monthly straddle break-even point on the lower side. So if it breaks and if it closes below 7807, we might see the negative momentum to continue into the market. While the higher range is at 8010. SX Nifty has been trading downwards, taking negative cues from the international markets, as it is down by around 55 odd points at 7874.50, indicating some kind of negative opening can be expected in the morning trade. That's it from derivative, and happy Diwali to all. Thank you.
Now we'll look out for the trading ideas of the day. The first idea of the day was Pfizer Limited at CNP at 2439. If you look at the reported results, it has given a multi-fold jump in its standalone net profit at 61.64 crores for the second quarter versus 1.76 crore. And if you look at the total income from operations, company stood at 512.11 crores for a quarter versus 480.5 crores. Action to be taken is long Pfizer, stop loss at 2390, target 2511, 2560. The second idea of the day is EROS International at CNP 278. EROS International Media reported an 80% rise in consolidated net profit at 90.3 crores for the September quarter. The company had registered a consolidated net profit of 50.14 crores for the corresponding period a year ago. So overall net results were quite good. Action to be taken is long EROS International, stop loss is 272.40, target at 292. We'll look at the news updates for the day. Is private carrier seeks more time for response to draft civil aviation policy. FIA said its member airlines needed time to understand the impact of the proposal on themselves and sector as a whole. EPFO likely to announce interest on PF for 2015-16 on November 24th. Speculations are rife that interest rates on savings schemes can come down in view of interest rate cuts by RBI. Adani to buy L&T port for rupees 2,000 crore. The port is being demerged from L&T shipbuilding. Tata Power to hive off green energy business may get peace. Grasim to refinance rupees 1,200 crore to Aditya Birla Chemicals loan. Dr. Reddy says US FDA seeks audit across its network. Jet Airways to acquire 75 Boeing 737 MAX 8 planes. Government to consider relaxing spectrum caps. Now, US-based GE got the contract for rupees 14,656 crores diesel locomotive factory at Mahawara, 81 kilometers north of state capital Patna. French transport giant Alstom got the electric locomotive projects worth 20,000 crore in the Madhepura, about 280 kilometers northeast of Patna. These all orders had come from railways. FIPB approves 8 FDI proposals worth rupees 5,200 crore. India Advantage Fund proposal rupees 700 FDI proposals and L&T Finance. RBI sees FII can now invest up to 49% in Prestige Estate. Adani's 16.5 billion controversial hit coal mine project in Australia faces a fresh legal challenge from an environmental group with South cancellation of a new government approval. Moody's rating cuts Indian overseas bank's outlook to negative from stable because the kind of asset quality problems the bank is facing through. China October PPI minus 5.9% YOY versus expectation of minus 5.8 YOY. Tuesday, November 10th, the equity shares of Interglobe Aviation Limited will be listed and admitted to the dealing on the exchange in the list of B group of securities. This is Indigo Airlines. Now, result updates. What we have seen yesterday is Central Bank has posted PAT of 113 crores versus 103 crores, up 9.7% on a YOY basis. NII at 1913 versus 1828 crores versus up 4.2% on a YOY. Gross NPA at 6.8% versus 6.7% on a YOY QOQ basis. If you look at the Oil India's PAT was at 675 crores versus 608 crores, 11% higher on YOY basis. And sales was seen at 2398 crores versus 2077 crores, which is 15.5% up on a YOY basis. Tech Solutions announced 43% surge in revenues and 86% jump in earnings in Q2. Sequential revenues grew by 5.7% and earnings by 55% to 25.1 crore. Now results for the day today, two main results which we have pointed out is NMDC, which is expected around 827 crores in terms of PAT is concerned, and Hindalco of loss of 96.40 crores is concerned. Now stocks with positive biases: Hindustan Unilever at 804, Asian Paint at 817, Amar Raja Battery at 911. Stocks with negative bias are BHEL at 184, HDL at 65, and Bank of India at 134. Stocks for investments are Aditya Birla Novo at 19998, Maruti at 4628, HDFC Bank at 1064, Tata Motor DV at 270, Z Entertainment at 390. Happy investing, friends. Good day.